speaking to Jeremy Newman, chairman of the Tall Ships Organizing Committee. How has the first day unfolded so far?
Oh, it's been fantastic. We couldn't have better weather. The rate of sail yesterday had perfect winds coming from the southwest. We got to see them with their sails up, coming across the waterfront. We're waiting to see what our final count will be, but I think we're going to break the records from 2022, and we're excited to see. I think Sunday is going to be a very busy day too. Our pre-sales were very strong.
So in between the planking, even on the outside of the ship as well, there's 2 layers of cotton, rolled cotton, and we pound that in with a chisel. No. This deck is 1991.
Talking to Joe Grimaldi, chief mate on the Lady G. Howard. You seem very well versed on the history of this ship.
Yes, sir.
So tell me a little bit about it. It was specialized in fishing.
So we are on the Lady G. Howard. She was built in 1893 specifically for cod fishing. She fished off the Georges Banks of Massachusetts. Generally, you would go to the Grand Banks in Newfoundland. That's a 1,000-mile trip if you're in the U.S. And who knew that you could catch cod off of Cape Cod? So the Grand Banks schooners, much like Blue Nose, they were not very good in the short, choppy waters of the the Georges Banks. I'm sorry. So they designed a much shorter, squatter, deeper boat that was much more seaworthy and more stable. Called the Fredonia. They started pumping out hundreds of these Fredonia model schooners, Letty being one. So she fished commercially for almost 70 years, where she then was, fishing regulations really drove her out of the fishing industry. So she was sold to a museum back up in Gloucester, where she was from, where she was designated as a National Historic Landmark. So out of the hundreds of these schooners that they built, Letty is the last one.
And how much of the original survives?
So we did some carbon dating, non-invasive carbon dating, and we figured out that the keel and the framing is all 1893. Some of the upper planking is still 1893, and then you could see every iteration of her rebuilds throughout the years. So effectively 35-40% of the ship is still. Her soul is 132 though, for sure.
So if you want this thing to survive for another century, how much effort is needed? How much money and how much effort?
The money thing, I wouldn't know how to put a dollar sign on it, but it is constant maintenance every day, and we couldn't do this without our volunteers. We have a very hefty volunteer corps, and it's pretty much all hands get your hands dirty. And it's a labor of love. To keep something this old alive, you have to continuously work on it.